Time to blow it all out. The series has had 5 straight weekends in a row of races, and we got a 2-week break after this. So leave everything you got on the racetrack and celebrate with us. The Racetrack's Motocross Show, giving you highlights of the Father's Day weekend extravaganza. It's the Red Bull Budge Creek National, and we got the full coverage right here. So don't go anywhere. Jason Weigandt, your host. Big day today. We had all 4 motos live on TV, but in case you missed them, we're going to give you the highlights. It starts at Moto 1 of the 250 class. They actually raced in this order today, by the way. Big crash in the first turn. Malcolm Stewart and others down. Ken Roczen, look who's out front. This guy has been leading a bunch of motos this year. He's still yet to win one of them. Pressure being applied early by Geico Honda's Justin Barcia, by Alex Martin, and a rare good start from Blake Baggett. 38 of Marvin Musquin there as well. But Barcia and Roczen set a pace that no one could match early in this one. They'd pull a pretty good gap on the field. As for the battle amongst the two of them, every time Barcia was able to put some pressure on Roczen, Roczen would respond and pull it back out. It looked like the number 70 might finally have the stuff to put that Red Bull KTM into the winner's circle for the first time this year. More on that later. Let's go a little bit further back in the pack. First, Baggett had moved up to third. And then behind him, a great battle between Marvin Musquin and Eli Tomac. Now, Musquin is trying to be a little bit better than just the 5th place guy, as he's been the last couple of weeks. He put up quite a fight with Tomac, last week's winner. Tomac would eventually get by Musquin, but then he'd crash, and that would put the number 38 back into the number 4 spot. Tomac would have to settle for 5th in this one. Now, here's Baggett on the move. He was up to 3rd, about 9 seconds behind Barcia and Roczen, but he would catch them. He'd put some pressure on Barcia, and then Barcia would respond by going after Roczen, and the 3 of them started duking it out until Barcia and Baggett both got around the German rider. Baggett then did everything in his power to get Barcia for the moto win, and to Roczen's credit, he would recover after getting passed by the 2 of them and hang with Baggett down to the end. It was a spectacular finish that we were looking forward to in this moto, as all 3 riders were on the same second as the checkered flag was about to come out. Credit to the number 20 of Barcia. He'd won the first 2 motos at the last 2 races, and he's going to win the first moto here if he can hold off under furious pressure from the number 12 of Baggett down the stretch. Now, Baggett's known for finding alternate lines and pulling off great moves on the final lap. Not to be on this day. Barcia was able to hang on and get the moto win. The 3rd straight week, he wins Moto 1 over Baggett. Roczen finishes 3rd. Moto number 2, another good start for the KTM-mounted Roczen, and this time he's got his teammate Musquin running in his flank behind him. Once again, Roczen would pull away and lead a whole bunch of laps. Barcia not pictured in this one, a bad start. He'd be 20th on lap 1. Barcia would eventually get to 5th, but then he'd fall, and that'd be the end of his charge. He would finish the moto in that position, good enough for 3rd overall. In front of him, Tomac and Baggett hooked up. They would come through traffic together and eventually get to the 2nd place rider, Musquin. Baggett was able to clear the 38 pretty quickly. Tomac was not, and that allowed Baggett to pull away from them. Eventually, Tomac would get to the number 3 spot, but the damage was done. Baggett was free to go after Roczen on his own, and he did go after him. Once again, Roczen saw a multi-second lead start to crumble late in the race. He might have been able to hold on, but then he ran into some lap traffic. The 211 of Tevin Tapia slowed him up, and that not only allowed Baggett to catch him, but to pass him. And from there, Baggett put the hammer down and was gone. 2-1 scores for the Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider. He came into this race as the points leader. He leaves with a little bit more of a lead after taking his 2nd win of the year. Roczen will be good enough for 2nd overall. As mentioned, Barcia, despite the rough 2nd moto, is 3rd on the day. 450s actually raced 2nd today. We'll see if the rougher track conditions could potentially mix up the results. Of course, at Ryan Dungey in the field and James Stewart out with injury, a lot of people were probably betting on the number 5. Off the start, though, remember this guy, Justin Brayton, on the Team Honda Muscle Milk machine. Haven't seen much of him up front outdoors. Started the moto in the number 1 spot. Dungey quickly able to get around him. Alessi, Tickle, Weimer, Berner, and the rest filed in behind. Dungey began to pull away. Tickle was the rider on the move early. A strong performance for the Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider. Here he makes the move on Alessi to get into 3rd. And then he would try to zero in on the rear fender of Brayton. Alessi didn't quite have the mojo on this day that he did at High Point when he went 2-2. Tickle and Brayton were able to get away from him early. Here's Tickle going after Brayton with Alessi trying to hang close. And eventually Weimer would also appear on the scene as well. And Tickle would get around Brayton take over the number 2 position. That's a career best for the number 25 outdoors on a 250 or a 450. Then Alessi would be under pressure from Weimer. It would get around Brayton. And then late in the race, Weimer would stay hard on the gas and also get around the 800 of Alessi. These two are close, by the way, in points as well. So there's a lot on the line as the Monster Energy Kawasaki rider was eventually able to clear the 800. Weimer, though, would run out of time. There was no chance of catching the number 25 of Tickle, who had set sail up front. Not a bad ride late in the race, though, for Andrew Short either. Even though he ran into a few bike problems, the bike was actually steaming and smoking. It held tough to the finish. As for Dungey, well, take a wild guess. He rode smooth, he rode smart, he rode consistent. Once he got that early lead, there was no stopping the number 5. That's 5 straight Moto wins for the Dunge. Tickle and Weimer are going to round out the podium in Moto 1. Time for 450 Moto number 2. This time Alessi's back to his old tricks. Grabs the whole shot in this one, but guess who's right behind him? Yep, Dungey. Alessi was much stingier with the positions in this one than he was in Moto number 1. He fought Dungey tooth and nail for it. It took Dungey several laps to try to find a line to get around the 800. Now, all season long, Alessi and the Moto Concepts crew has been saying the 800 will not ride over his head to win races. He's going to just run his pace, although it sure looked like when he had the lead, he was going to do everything in his power to keep it. Finally, Dungey finds a line to get around him, and then Alessi has to deal with, guess who? Broc Tickle, back again. Second straight strong moto of the day for him. Alessi tried to ride the wide bike with Tickle. Tickle wasn't having any of it. He makes an aggressive pass, even gives Alessi a little look back, would take off from there. Broc Tickle now on the podium, and we got to consider him a contender over the next couple of weeks as he goes a strong 2-2 on the day. As for the battle of the final podium spot, Jake Weimer actually got roosted on the first lap so hard that he was coughing up blood. He didn't give up, kept fighting through traffic. On the last turn of the last lap, he would pass Josh Grant to get into 4th, but it was not enough to overhaul Alessi for a podium position. Alessi is going to edge Weimer overall in the day for 3rd. That's your 450 class. Let's turn it over to a very happy 2nd place overall finisher on the day, Broc Tickle. Okay, we're here with Broc Tickle, 2-2 on the day. First podium, not just on the 450. This is your first podium in a motocross race ever?
Yeah, overall.
What's the difference here? I mean, you've been good so far outdoors in 2012, but another level today.
Nothing. I mean, I just been doing what I've been doing and working hard, and finally it's paying off. I got 2 good starts today and ran up front comfortably. I mean, the first moto, I didn't think I rode that well, but second moto, I picked out some better lines and tried to smooth my corners out a little bit more. And I don't know, it's weird. I kind of had a feeling about this race, and just glad I could get it started here, and hopefully just keep the ball going for Redbud and the rest of the season.
Well, we think of you as a guy that lives in California. Sometimes your name is listed from Michigan in the results, but originally from North Carolina. This track is somewhat close to where you grew up.
Yeah, that's correct. We came here for area qualifier every once in a while, and maybe a regional, I think, on 80s. So a lot of familiar faces around the pits, and the fans are going nuts today. So it was awesome to be up front and have everybody. I've never really been in that situation where fans are going nuts. I mean, it's a good feeling, and I don't know. It's crazy to see how proud everybody is of me and how proud I am of myself to finally be here.
And I know you said you didn't really change anything drastic with the riding, but what about the starts, dude? I have not seen a good start from you all year, and I don't know if we saw any from you last year either. 2 good starts on the same day. Anything changed there?
No, I mean, I think I had 2 good starts last week, but they weren't like I don't know, it just built my confidence, and I feel like I can do it every time now. I mean, I've had a technique I've been working on for months, but it just hasn't clicked yet, and I think today it showed.
Ooh, look out. All right, so big things. Got a 2-week break. You can build on this, right?
Yeah, next week I'm going to hit it hard riding and training and kind of build, and then the week after taper off and kind of get ready for Redbud.
All right. We'll see Broc there. We'll see you as well. That's your RacerX Motocross show from the Red Bull National at Budds Creek. See you in 2 weeks at Redbud.